Great. Hi, everyone. It's Jonathan here. Hello, Vincent, and hello, Amir. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Nice to meet you, Jonathan.
Thank you so much for being able to join us for this Q&A. And to our audience, I'd like to say you can send your questions in via Slido. The information should be up on the screen. The URL and the code will be displayed on the screen in the cinema and on the live feed throughout the Q&A. Once again, thank you both for joining us, and thank you for your beautiful films. Vincent, I'd like to start with you, if I may. This is part of an ongoing project that you've been doing with the Inawe people for a very long time. Could you say something about how it began?
Well, when they were contacted in '74, and for 10 years they were completely isolated. And then people that were taking care of them realized that we should prepare them to open to the world, to the outside world. And the best would be to come and present other Indians, and they wanted very much to be filmed, to register their ritual, the central thing in their lives. And so we kept going for many years. And Rita, my daughter, which is co-directing this film with me, started going there when she was 3 years old. So now we got this image back many times, but now a long time passed, almost 3 decades, and it was time, as all the elders died, they wanted very much to check all the footage to find their old songs that were lost in the process. And they insisted, and so we get funds to go there and train them, give them and it was so beautiful, so moving. And we think the next step is try to make reflection with them about this 35 years of changing. Not everything is changing in their lives, but they keep really concentrating in the ritual with new elements. You know, instead of fish, now it's snacks. But the important is to keep the ritual going on. That's it.
And it's striking to see in the film, just in such a relatively short period of time, or should I say, relative to us as you know, people in the Western world who keep to a Western sense of time. It's striking to us just how much they lost in terms of their customs and rituals in such a short period of time, and therefore how important cinema becomes in being able to return these things to them in a way that makes cinema very primal, much, you know, more so than it is for us.
Well, they were like, who are the youngers? Who are these guys? And the others will say, that's us, man. Come on. Yeah, it was very, very, very funny. An old woman came to me and said, well, I've seen my husband. He died a long time ago. I miss him, and I cried. But now it doesn't matter. He became a spirit. It's okay now. It was really, really fantastic experience. And now we want to go back with again with all that and make a reflection about what's going on with their lives, what they want, what they think of all these changes, new things coming in the village, and splitting the village in more villages. And life is changing very quickly.
Amir, if I may come to you now, greetings. How are things there in Trinidad at the moment? I know maybe not the best of times there, but thank you for being able to join us. And I wanted to say thank you so much for your beautiful film, which has such a wonderful sense of the rhythm of the place that you captured, and you let it speak for itself. You let it breathe. You don't seem to want to impose your will on it, and you let it speak so eloquently. Could you say something about how the film came about as a student film, because you were a student at the Independent Film School in Cuba? And could you say a bit about the school, which itself is located in the countryside in Cuba, and how you came to make the films through the school?
Yeah. So this assignment was one of our assignments in my third year, my last year at film school in Cuba. So they sent us, those of us who were studying documentary, the directors, they sent us with our professors in the small town to go basically look for a film, look for an idea for a couple of weeks. I went in with this idea in my head that I wanted to do a story to show how different forms of life are connected, that an ant, the life of an ant is not less valuable than the life of a tree or a human, for example. So I went in with this idea, and when I arrived in the town, I saw how big of a part nature was to the people in the town. So I was looking for flower gardeners. I was looking for people who used to have flower farms. And I found a lot, but no one wanted to do the film because they were all like kind of depressed, because Cuba at that time was going through a very hard period. There wasn't gasoline for their tractors, there wasn't water. So everyone who had farms, their crops and their flowers and everything was dying out. But walking up and down this town every day, all day for like a couple of weeks with my producer, these people who I eventually did the film with, they always used to invite us in to like have drinks, have water, to rest a little bit. And they would keep talking to us about the project and what we were looking for and trying to help us. They had no interest at all in the film itself. They weren't initially part of the film, of my idea for what I wanted the film to be. And eventually I decided to stay with them, and they helped us out. They did everything that we wanted from them because of the confidence that we created with them. So in this period of time, while I was looking for my own film in that little small little town, and I was going back there to like rest, I was observing how they were living their lives, and little things in their lives always interested me. And I wanted to capture the essence of the initial idea that I wanted to do, but with them, because they invited us and they helped us out. And it was kind of like the universe telling us, oh, stay here, do the film here, don't look for the film elsewhere where you're not going to find it. You find it here, stay here, and do the film here. And they let us do everything that we wanted. So different elements of their life, I tried to connect it as well as I could, and the three of them live side by side. So it was not hard to like find connections between them and the way they live their lives. Yeah.
That actually leads me to a question that we've got here, asking about how you helped your participants feel comfortable in front of the camera and to be themselves.
Yeah, so that's, as I was saying before, because we were always going there, they developed a bond with us. And that's important for me in whichever film that I do. I always try to like make the people who I work with feel like this is not just a job. This is, we are creating a relationship, especially with people in Cuba. They need to have that sense of being comfortable with you to open up their emotions to you, right? So the other thing too was they were all like in their late 70s, early 80s. They were very old. I was very young. I was like 24, 25 at the time. So it was kind of difficult at the beginning because their grandchildren were older than me by far. So, but it's so funny that you always find things that you could connect to people with. So I saw elements of myself in them. They saw elements of themselves in me. And while we were talking, we just shared, and especially because of our love in nature. So every one of them, the three of them were connected by their shared love for the elements of nature and how it works with them. They are part of it. It's not like they are a separate entity to it. So it was easy to develop that bond with them and have them express themselves to us and open up their emotions to us when they could see that I'm coming from the same place as them. We are thinking the same kind of way.
Vincent, I'm wondering if in your dealings with the Inawe people, if, because what we see is, they're very eager, to be in front of the camera and to, interact with the technology. But was it always so, or did it take a very long time for them to become used to the idea of being filmed and of interacting with this technology?
No. Since the beginning, they were always very performatic, and at the beginning, we could not understand what they were saying. We had no interpreter. And they wanted to explain us about an attack they suffered from another group. And it was, the understanding was a little bit difficult. And the whole village started performing the attack. One's being the other group and the other being themselves. And so it was always like that, and when you see them adorned, they are not real people, they are spirits, and there are different kind of spirits, and there are the clowns performing and jokes, and so their reaction to the camera was always very dynamic and performatic.
Which leads me to the question that has come in for you here from Darren Z. Vincent, fabulous film. Can you speak a little bit about the ritual at the end of the film with the straw costumes? What was that ritual we were seeing there?
Well, it was the women it's the women's ceremony there, and they have to offer the man, but not really the man, the spirits that they incorporate, and so they are problems with the fishes now because of the dams, and so the natural resources to make the ritual as it was in the past, it's very difficult. So the woman has to offer a lot of fishes, now snacks, to the spirits to calm down, because the spirits can be very aggressive. So the community of women have to offer, and so they went to the city in the Toyotas, and could afford something really cheap, but they say that they have consulted the spirits, and then the spirits said that no, it's okay, we like it. So that's it. I think things changed. They had wooden canoes in the past. Now they have the Toyotas, but the relationship with the cosmos is kept you know. They are still doing what they should do, is to feed and to dance for the spirits. So you can have a look from outside and say, well, things are not going very well, but that's life, you know, that's the new life. You have to understand it. And I don't feel sad. I don't feel, I feel okay, you know, because they are keeping their culture in a way, you know, and the relation with the spirits.
Amir, is that something that you would also say of the community that you worked with in Cuba? Because again, it's very easy to look at the situation in Cuba and say, you know, how hard these people have it, and you did say, you know, that they have been suffering serious deprivations, but that sense of relationship to nature and the land, is that something that sustains them, you think, through all this, you know, difficulty?
Yeah, that's another thing. Is a good point you bring up there, because I spoke to them before, like we built this rapport before we filmed, but during filming we also discovered a lot of things, because life is like a continuous process as continuously moving. So during filming I would ask them about like why they do what they do, what are their reasons behind it, trying to find out like their emotional state while they do the actions that they do, before we actually film the actions. And right before I take, they would tell me, oh, I'm doing this because my son just got dengue and I don't know if he will like live, so I need to like try and do the most I could do to help them out. So the conversations I used to have with them right before I take usually got their emotional state, the authentic emotional state, how they were actually feeling at that time before they started to perform the action. I felt like if I didn't do that, they would think, oh, I'm kind of acting here. So they would think, oh, they would try to do what I want them to do. And I didn't want that. I wanted them to feel what they were authentically feeling at that point in time. So for every one of them, these people invited us into their lives. So I tried to like move to their rhythm, their pace of what they were going through at that point in time, and not try to impose what I was going through or what I wanted from them. And afterward, we figured out, we let things like adapt and flow. And afterward, we figured out how to work it together as a cohesive film.
And just as we saw in Vincent's film, the you know, in a way, people seeing themselves on the screen, you did have a screening of this film for the community that you shot in. Could you say something about what that was like and how their reaction was to seeing the film?
Yeah, we had a small screening for all of the people who participated, with the other directors as well who were studying with me, those who participated in their films as well. And it was good for them to see themselves on screen, because it's not a big town, it's a small village. And they were proud to see each other, but actually in the screening that we had, only one of the people who I shot got to see it, because the other two, they couldn't come out at night because they were old. They couldn't walk around or move around too much. So we had like private screenings for them in their homes, like with a laptop. And they were happy to see the film. But the funny thing was, like, I was expecting this big emotional reaction with them. And all they were thinking about at that time was if we were content with what we had. So like, because of the relationship that we built with them, the film wasn't even about them. They had like zero ego about it at all. All they were considering was how, if we got what we were looking for, and they were happy that we were content with the relationship that we built with them. And up to now, like with every film that I did in Cuba, those who I worked with are still like good friends with me. We still talk to, except these people in this film, because they have like no way of communicating with anyone outside. They have no phones, no internet, nothing like that. So that was the one like thing that I regretted, like leaving Cuba. I couldn't like continue the relationship with them like I could with people who I worked with in other films.
We have a couple of other questions that have come in. One for you, Vincent, and it has to do with language, from Marcus. He says, fantastic film. Do you think the footage that you filmed is also helping to preserve the language of the tribe? Because no doubt many of them can speak Portuguese now, and is Portuguese entering and threatening their language?
Well, in the case of NA, it's not a problem now, but it's a problem for many other people, you know. They have a self esteem very high, you know. And if the agribusiness is trying to convince them to you know, destroy the savanna and plant soja, maybe they can co-opt it, I don't know, but anyway, they said, well, if they want to do that, we want to plant, we want to, you know, organize and administrate everything. So in our area, it's a strong cultural now, you know, it's a, and their language is not in danger up to now.
And Amir, question for you about influences. Were you inspired by any other filmmakers or genres in the look and the mood of your film?
In general, filmmakers in general, Tarkovsky inspired me a lot because of his, he speaks a lot about the density of time. And these people move at their own pace. And at times I was wondering, thinking to myself, if I should like, you know, not let it move so long, like make it a little shorter, like have a tighter rhythm, faster rhythm. And I decided no, because these people move at their own pace and they can sit for 5 minutes and in their mind is like an hour passing because of how many things they're thinking about all of the time. So Tarkovsky inspired me a lot because of what he speaks about when he talks about density of time. These people move on their own time.
We're going to wrap it up soon, but I want to end by asking you both about the future. Vincent, you said that, you know, this project is ongoing. You and Rita will be continuing to work with the NRA people, but I'm just wondering if, given, you know, it's a delicate subject, but the, you know, the current situation in Brazil, if that project is anyway threatened in what you would like to do.
Of course, it is. It's a very difficult moment. And well, we have an archive here about 62 different people, you know, and we don't know for how long we will be able to preserve that, you know. We are in fund campaigns to digitalize, to be able to give it back to them in the, not in analogic format, of course. And but it's my big deal with now is to preserve this memory and to try and survive at these fascist governments. I hope it will be over by the end of 22, but we don't know, you know.
Yeah. And Amir, you're back in Trinidad now. You know, you're you know, newly graduated or relatively newly graduated filmmaker. What's the future for you? I mean, the immediate future is a bit, you know, doubtful because you're under a state of emergency in Trinidad because of coronavirus. But what are your hopes? Yeah,
well, immediate future, I have my thesis film to finish that I shot in Cuba, and we had to leave without finishing post-production because of COVID there in Cuba. And then when I came back to Trinidad, I was hoping to get to like relearn my country because I basically grew up for the last 3 years as a filmmaker in Cuba. So I was hoping to like relearn what it's like to live in Trinidad and can communicate with the people in Trinidad. But because of COVID, I didn't get that chance as yet. So I'm hoping as soon as everything is back to some kind of normalcy, I'll be able to get to learn about the country in a new way and see what kind of stories I can tell here as well.
We wish you all the luck, and Vincent, we wish you and Rita all the luck in the world as well. And we send love and solidarity from Sheffield to you in Brazil and Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for your films.
Thank you, you all.